I have you now.
They want to mess with my droid. They're going to pay for it.
This is the way.
You may fire when ready.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
The way you're fighting, you wouldn't have lasted long.
Hello there.
Kenobi!
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Welcome to the Star Wars Station Communication Podcast. We're here to talk to you about Andor, the whole show. We're going to give you our thoughts. We're going to give you a review on this. And I'm joined with my co-host, Colin Archer.
Yeah, man. Andor, wow. We really got a gem here. Tony Gilroy really delivered, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I mean, Tony Gilroy is the director of Andor. They handed him the show after he came and made a bunch of changes to the third act of Rogue One, and he knocked that out of the park. We know he's responsible for the Vader hallway scene, and now we get this amazing, dark, gritty Star Wars show that is really unique. It's really, really cool. We haven't seen something like this in Star Wars ever.
Well, and I'll say TV has been needing this, like, overall TV, like on regular TV outside of Disney, spy shows are like campy somehow. They're fraught with silly quirks and they want to keep a viewer as long as they can. This is a targeted audience, but it's also bringing in more viewers with not just space wizards and some big bad. I mean, there is a big bad, but it's more esoteric in this. Probably getting in the weeds a little bit.
I think you're totally right. And it came out alongside House of the Dragon and the Rings of Power. The two largest fantasy properties, powerhouse TV shows, were airing at the same time as Andor. And Andor has had audience hiccups, and everybody knows that it hasn't been hitting the audience numbers that a Disney show should be hitting. But it hit with critics, and it hit with Star Wars fans, and it hit with just fans of, this kind of media, with pop culture media like this. It hit with all of these categories better than Rings of Power did and better than House of the Dragon did. And that's super impressive for a Star Wars show to be going toe-to-toe with things like that. And narratively be going toe-to-toe with shows like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I haven't watched Rings of Power. I have watched Game of Thrones. And I was, Game of Thrones has...
House of Dragons or Game of Thrones?
House of Dragons. House of Dragons is on rails. You know what's going to happen. These people are going to be angry at each other. Andor, we had no idea what to expect. We had some inkling from Scuttlebutt, often what entertainment websites were saying, but we knew who Andor was. That's it. The Empire's a player from the preview. We didn't know Mon Mothma was in it till later. I mean, I guess... No, I'm talking about when the first trailers came out. We didn't know it was Mon Mothma. And later on, of course, we figured it out. But, the show's called Andor, and Mon Mothma played a huge role in this that I wasn't expecting. And it's just as good as the Cassian Andor plot. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this show's balancing so many plot lines about so many characters. And we have the new characters, a ton of new characters with a lot of great plot lines. Cinta and Vel, and we have...
Cyril?
We have Luthen.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I mean, we have a really interesting interweaving of players here for the Rebel Alliance. And this is all happening at the same time that Rebels is happening, and it's just a really exciting period for them to keep writing Star Wars in. And this show just goes over the top. I just started rewatching Rebels with Cassidy, and every time the Rebels crew is in danger, it feels much more real because of the Narkina scenes.
Oh, yeah.
This Andor has improved other Star Wars shows. I think it's going to improve the original trilogy. It's going to make you feel even more imminent danger for the original trilogy heroes.
So to build on what you said a minute ago, this a lot more people know about House of the Dragon or Lord of the Rings shows, whatever. Cassian Andor, he's not Darth Vader. He's not some big name, and he was just a one-off character years ago in a movie, and. God bless Tony Gilroy, because he had so much more to deliver here with just Cassian Andor. And what I think this is going to amount to like you said, the critics like this one a lot more. I think it's going to be a slow burn. So new fans, once they get into Star Wars, and like they'll go watch Rebels, they'll go watch a movie or two, but then they're going to watch Andor, and that's going to cement fans into everything with Star Wars because just the quality from every angle on this.
You're totally right. I couldn't agree more. You know, Tony Gilroy, like you just said, grabbed Cassian Andor, a character from one movie, one very successful and good Star Wars movie that's dear to my heart, but a character from one movie that just didn't have a whole lot of dialogue. I think we've had this conversation before that some of the Rogue One characters, I didn't even remember their names walking out of the theater the first time.
Yeah.
And I know hardcore Rogue One fans will think that is blasphemous to say, but I did not remember anyone but Jen's name walking out the first time. Yeah. And so to take a character that I didn't remember his name after watching the whole first movie to being an amazing, deep character with an awesome rebellion arc come together is so impressive. I mean, Tony Gilroy outdid himself with Cassian's arc. So I think, we need to talk about Cassian's journey and kind of get into his head as we talk about the different plot lines running through this show, kind of what we liked and what we didn't like about the building plot lines.
Oh, yeah. And I'm looking at the cast of characters, and I'm reading them over and over again, especially Rogue One, like you said, Chimwit Ire. I don't even know. I know it. I had the cards from the X-Wing game. He was cool, but you can't remember those names after the first time watching it. Come on.
Right.
But yeah, so Cassian Andor, played by Diego Luna, my goodness. Oh my, such a supreme delivery here. Are these people eligible for awards somehow? Or are they going to get some streaming Emmys? I don't know. But just the danger he faced. What a life to live. The Empire, that ship crashed on the planet in a flashback. And was that in the third episode or something? We see
we see his childhood in the very first episode. And You're right. Already off the bat, it's an interesting sequence. A Republic era ship crashes on his planet. So this is before the end of the Clone War is when that takes place.
I could have swore it was Imperial because Fiona Shaw, Marva Andor shows up, and he's just a kid, right? Sneaking on the ship to see what's going on. I thought that was an Imperial ship.
No, it was Republic because, think about the age he is in that scene, and then think about how this is 14 years after the Empire took over. He's well over 14. He's into his 20s. He's well into his 20s.
Yeah, sometimes they play with how old these actors are and look and all this other stuff, so I get confused easy.
That's true. But
anyway,
So I think that was just a great setup to his character already, really quickly explained where Cassian comes from, and gave us the motivation for his sister, which I was surprised did not last throughout the whole series.
Well, it'd be really good to circle back to, for sure.
And I believe that they will. I think that they probably will circle back to that, because we have a whole second season coming out, and each arc, like we saw in this one, it had arcs throughout the whole year. Each arc is going to be a year in the next season. So, episode 1 through 3 is year 2. Year 4 leading up to the Death Star. It's 4 BBY. And then the episodes 5 to 7 are going to be 3 BBY. And so they have a lot of room to build out plot lines about him fetching his sister, and one of the things we're going to see from this second season is a huge introduction of new characters. Tony Gilroy's already said it's going to start delving into planets we've seen, characters we've seen, to build the rebellion, because that's what it's about. It's about the rebellion getting built.
We have so much, I can't wait for the second seasons and hopefully more, just to see what happens to these other characters. Dedra, Luthen, Bix Colleen, Vel, Mon Mothma, how all that evolves. My goodness. There's just so much to deliver here.
Each character is in such a deep storyline. And that's the thing about this show. It was able to make you care about so many characters.
Yeah.
There were so many characters that were interesting, and their plot lines were interesting. And
I left out Cyril. I kind of... Obviously, I want to see what happens to Andor and how he gets to where he goes. But Cyril's you might think he's wanting to do the Empire, but he's also this really by himself, being his own thing. and just motivated to catch Cassian. I want to see what happens with him. I think the most.
Yeah, I know. His
Such a
arc is
wild
super
card.
interesting. They took him into such a interesting place. I mean, he went from this zealot in the police force to going to losing his job, and then that office job just killing him. And I kept thinking, watching that, he's going to wind up to be a terrorist, or I had seen theories he would join the rebellion, which I think is impossible. I don't think that's possible for Cyril. I think he is too Empire crazed to join the rebellion. But just all
he's
these
also
different
a
angles.
rule breaker. He doesn't do what the Empire says. He'll go.
Right.
He'll go seek out that lady. He'll fly to the planet when he's not supposed to. She's telling him off the whole time. It's crazy. But other characters too. Saw Gerrera. We got to see some cool stuff. We'll get into
Gosh,
that.
I know. We got to see Saw Gerrera fall into madness, basically. We got to see Saw Gerrera's complete fall into just as being as paranoid and schizophrenic as we see him in the later season of Rebels and in Rogue One itself.
Yeah, and the thing that I think what most connected with the line I've repeated most is from Andy Serkis's character, Kino Loy, I can't swim. People who know I'm a big Star Wars fan, oh, you see that scene? Or is he going to get out? And everybody wants to know, did he get out?
I know,
we got to know.
absolutely.
We got to know.
I know. It made you care deeply about these characters. Nemec from the heist, I mean, they used his manifesto throughout the show as a kind of, not a MacGuffin, but as a piece of the narrative. And so he was such an interesting character that had to also pass like that. And that's the value of this show, is there has not been a character that I wasn't invested in. I don't think there's been a single character I haven't been invested in, actually.
Oh, yeah. And that's just, I want to watch all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I haven't done that yet. It's on my list. But are these all Tony Gilroy's characters? Is it his brainchild? Is it his writing team? Who's coming up with... I mean, because, this guy's Rumpelstiltskin. He's spinning straw into gold. It's crazy.
I know, and Tony Gilroy is professed not a Star Wars fan. I mean, he has seen the Star Wars movies. He obviously enjoys them, but he's not like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who are making a wonderful product with The Mandalorian, and who I think are going to make an amazing product with Ahsoka and Tales of the Jedi. Everything they touch is great, and I'm a huge Filoni and Favreau guy. But the Andor is totally different tone, and it's told by a guy who doesn't know Star Wars. Those two guys know Star Wars intimately. Tony Gilroy doesn't know it at all, or very limited. And so
he's making a story before he's making...
Exactly. He's making the story. I just imagine Tony Gilroy sitting down at a computer and writing out the script and saying, when Luthen says the Rakatan invaders, Tony Gilroy says, insert dumb Star Wars thing here. And then keeps rolling.
Yeah.
I do think he has a respect for Star Wars. That's a joke about the dumb part. I do think that he's just letting the guys who know canon and the creatives kind of put those accents in there, and he's giving us this great story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point. And what it's done, and it's not a kid's show. This kind of continues off the back of Obi-Wan Kenobi, where it had some really, not gory or vile or anything like that, but there's a lot of death and a lot of, the Empire just hangs people. And, there's some really dark concepts here that's in not a lot of stuff.
I think you're right about that. I think that when we were taking a look at Kenobi, we talked a lot about how there was a couple scenes where, it was a little intense, and it felt for Star Wars, which, in retrospect, I still think that's true. I think Star Wars has gotten a little more intense under Disney, but Obi-Wan Kenobi, it was surprising. Andor from Episode 1 kind of told us this is how it's going to be. And so it was darker tonally, like you said, and it's great for it. It is regrettable that it's more difficult to show to kids, because I think Star Wars is ultimately a family property. There was actually, you might have seen this, that in the scene where Marva is yelling, "Fight the Empire," in her hologram in the finale, Tony Gilroy said there was one thing that Disney made him remove from the show, and then he said that it was that. So I'll let you kind of figure out what that means, but what Marva was saying. But I'm happy that didn't happen.
I have no idea. Maybe something to do with the droids, because they want the droids.
No. It's much more simple than that. When she says "fight the Empire," she doesn't say the word "fight."
Yeah, I could guess.
Yeah. And so that's my point, is that while that is funny, I am glad they didn't do that for a few reasons. I mean, Star Wars is a family property. I don't think they should use language like that, and I'm glad that they didn't. I'm glad that Disney stopped them. And also, Star Wars has great in-universe curses that mean things, so they need to continue using stuff like that. Like, I didn't like that they said shit in this series, because I think they should just use a Star Wars word for that.
Yeah, and there's probably 10 of them. I can think of one, but I'm on the spot. I can't spit it out.
Sure. Well, we just were watching Rebels. I mean, Zeb's famous Carabast, that's a curse in Star Wars. And so, I mean, things like that. But no, the show is just, I mean, it's phenomenally done. It really is great to get to see all of these characters being built like this. And it's really exciting for the future of this show. But like you were talking about, one of the most interesting scenes and the most interesting aspects of this show is the Imperial Security Bureau. I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat for every scene there. This is like the most intimate we've ever gotten in the Empire. It's
the inner workings and stuff.
If you're a person who loves the Death Star conference room scene, then that is like a fifth of Andor, is the Death Star conference room scene. And it is a great show for it. It's a wonderful show for it.
Yeah. Most of what we've ever seen in the Empire is like the big bosses doing what they do, and the frontline troops dying for them, except for some really small things here and there. But you hit the nail on the head exactly. And it's not just the conference room scene. It's the backstabbing, corporate, no holds barred, espionage, corporate ladder stepping stuff that these people are going to do to get their higher rank, higher status within the Empire, you know? And it is cutthroat. It is so interesting to watch.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, it's so cool to get to see this dialogue and get to see how the Empire works. We have Admiral Yularen. We get literal mentions of the Emperor. We got 2 of them. Like, references like this, and getting to see high-ranking Imperial officers. When we see some things like this, we see a little bit of it in Rogue One. Rogue One's probably the biggest, most pronounced example of seeing the kind of Imperial politics there. And then we also see it a little bit in, in Rebels. We see it a little bit in Rebels when Thrawn is there. We see a little bit of the internal Imperial politics when Thrawn is there. But other than that, I can't think of anywhere where we really see a lot of internal Imperial politics outside of comic books.
Yeah, I was really hoping for an Ian McDiarmid cameo as Palpatine in this. It would have made my day. I'm going to hold out hope. Maybe in the subsequent seasons we'll see him. But
you know what I had forgotten, and that I need to do and I need to rewatch Kenobi because of this. I had forgotten the Emperor was in that show, and so I need to go rewatch Kenobi because that's crazy. We've gotten the Emperor this year, and that's pretty wild.
I think it was just a hologram, right?
It is, yeah. It's just a hologram of him.
Yeah, we need to rewatch Kenobi. People trashed it. It was a good show. I loved it, and I love this one too. You know, this one's got mixed reviews, like you said. I don't understand. I guess it moves slow or it jumps around. See,
a lot of people say it's slow, and I guess I understand the criticism. I didn't feel that way after the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes are slow, and I tell everybody who's going to watch it, you've got to have 3 hours because you need to watch all 3 episodes at once because I think that's the proper way to hook.
Yeah, and you got to get through the heist, man. The heist is
is amazing. I think a lot of people loved the Narkina arc, and it's an amazing arc. The prison stuff is so intense, but I think the heist is still my favorite one. The heist is so cool.
Yeah, and then I understand that it's a movie trope and all that stuff, but it's done in an expert way. And within the, heist movies other than this, like robbing a casino or something, they're all done within the confines of what we're capable of. This is a heist in the Star Wars universe that's not a cartoon, because the cartoon can get away with some stuff that's outside of physics or whatever. This one has like all the Star Wars mechanisms in it. There's stormtroopers. The scene with the shooting stars at the end. I should know the name of that. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Gosh.
the eye.
Yeah, the eye. Goodness gracious. And they planned all this to be in conjunction with that and the Pilgrims.
I know. It really is.
What a show.
It's an arc, man. It's just the heist was so interesting, and the world building in this show is out of this is out of this galaxy, because
this galaxy.
there's no better world building than getting to see all of these unique planets. I mean, it's all kinds of unique planets. I think the only planet that we've seen that we've already been to is Coruscant. I think that's the only planet we've already seen, and that's an impressive feat. And the other thing, speak of Coruscant, getting to see all kinds of levels in Coruscant, getting to see the upper crust of Coruscant, getting to see how things work. We now know that gambling is illegal on Coruscant. That's a crazy fact. I never thought I would know about that. We have gotten a ton of Coruscant exposure in this show. It's really, really cool. And I feel like time-wise in the show, Coruscant might be creeping up on the most spent time of any planet next to Tatooine. I mean, it might just surpass Tatooine with this show, because you spend a lot of time on Coruscant.
Yeah, and I really like the scene. I think it was in Daughters of Ferrix, where Luthen is directing his insider to meet him, and he's traveling through all this underworld stuff, and you see the aliens peeking at him, like, what is this guy doing here? You know, that scene just builds on what you just said. Of you get to see all this stuff that you never get to see outside of comic books or something, or I guess Solo, but even then, that was kind of a glimpse, you know?
Right. No, I totally agree. And it was a good way to introduce more aliens. You know, I complained on Twitter, on the Instagram, on a few of our platforms about the lack of aliens in Andor. You know, Andor has been pretty alienless. But there were a few episodes where they could highlight aliens, and right there in the Coruscant underworld, they did a great job of highlighting aliens right there.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, the prison was only humans, right?
Right, and Ferrix is only humans, from what I understand. Well, the only alien I noticed on Ferrix was there was a Kubaz, which is really odd. I like it. I'm really happy they included a Kubaz, but that's a rare find, and that's a rare find. They don't include them that much.
You know, we're spoiled with Chewbacca, is what it is. You know, we got to pal around with him for all this whole time.
I don't know. Every single film, I think all of them, all 11 of the films, do a really good job of giving us aliens, and Disney shows have not done that, and Andor is the one that did it the least at the beginning and started to make up for it at the end. But like Kenobi didn't have many aliens. Book of Boba Fett did, because it's on Tatooine. They know they got to do the aliens on Tatooine.
Well, and then Book of Boba Fett's about gang wars. So, you know, that's one of the coolest aspects about all the Star Wars, is there's all these different gangs that interact with each other, and it's all aliens of this gang, aliens of that gang. And then you got the Sand People.
We even got to see a gangster in Andor, where we get to see that Chandrilan gangster tried to get Mon Mothma to get her daughter married off. And I mean, we're getting to see so many aspects of Star Wars, and it's that we also used to only be in books or used to never exist. And it's really neat. I mean, getting to see Mon Mothma's family drama, that was so interesting to get to see it play out, and you never even contemplated that about that character. I mean, this may be the deepest that Star Wars has gotten about a character's life since Anakin Skywalker.
You know, and I probably should do better about Mon Mothma. She's one of my least, up until now, least cared about characters. I'm sure there's a lot of really good backstory from her, but as far as TV and movie media goes, I didn't know she was from Chandrila, you know, and all the customs that do a Chandrila, like it's a betrothing to each other and all this stuff, like some ancient history stuff. You know, I understand there's some cultures that still betroth and all that, but seeing how that in the politics that play along with it, you know, like at the end, she's trying to chastise her husband for gambling, and that's how she's going to hide her missing money or something, you know.
I know. That's so clever. It's super interesting to see that's where that plot line lines up. And her plot line just seems so open-ended at the end. Some of the characters' plot lines, they don't seem final, obviously, but they seemed well wrapped up. Like, this finale did not leave me on the edge of my seat like some other Andor episodes did. Like, all the Ferrix crew, they're safe. They're headed that direction. Cassian is with Luthen now. Cyril and Deidre failed here. We're going to see how that plays out. But everyone's in like a safe, not cliffhanger position, except for Mon Mothma, and they leave her on a total cliffhanger. Like, what's going to happen with her daughter in this marriage?
Yeah. The last scenes were them walking up into the room with the gangster guy.
Right, exactly.
Perrin Firtha, I think is his name. So what specifics you want to get into about any characters, about any plot lines?
I think we should just go
We're doing good.
Plot line by plot line and character by character as we see fit, because we haven't even touched on. We talked about Imperial politics, but the rebellion politics. We have Luthen trading in secrets with everybody, not admitting to the Aldhani heist, working with Mon Mothma. He has a double life. He talks to Saw Gerrera, has spies everywhere. He sacrifices Anto Krieger. And he has some of the best monologues in the whole show, in the show that's filled with amazing character monologues. It's, it's soliloquies and monologues, and it's great. It's great.
He has a cool tech, too. That ship is amazing. What it's capable of.
We have to see more of that next season. Yeah. We have to see more. I hope they don't kill Luthen off until right around before the Battle of Scarif. Right before Rogue One begins. I think Luthen needs to die in that penultimate arc, if they can. But I don't know. I mean, I think he's so treacherous that another rebel might kill him.
Yeah, I mean, Saw Gerrera could take care of him. We have no idea. And oh, God.
And then we have the Saw Gerrera scene where he sits there and he lists the different factions, and they haven't been fleshed out at all. And, Star Wars has got to get these things fleshed out. They always flesh out all the most minute details, so I know it's coming. But he talks about the individual factions and their political beliefs, and it gives a new dimension to Saw's character about that he cares about this for some reason, and that they have a political divide in the Rebel Alliance. And Luthen doesn't care about any of this. And we have no idea what Luthen's motivation is yet. And that is so exciting because we have to find that out next season.
Yeah. I've been just scrolling through social media. People think he's a secret Jedi or something. I'm like, oh, I hope that's not true. I didn't get anything that... I think they're trying to take advantage of the gullible people to click on that thing, because I don't think that's true at all. I didn't see anything like that. There's plenty of clever people in the Star Wars, Han Solo, who have nothing to do with the Force.
Well, look, what I'm saying is, I think all the way up till there has not. Andor may be the first Star Wars media property released that doesn't have a lightsaber in it. I tried to sit here and think of one that might not. The only one I got to was Solo, and then Darth Maul shows his lightsaber in the hologram at the end of Solo.
End, yeah.
And so I don't think there's a single Star Wars property that doesn't show a lightsaber in its first, or in any point, any season of any Star Wars show, except for this one.
Yeah, and there wasn't one in his antiquity shop. There wasn't a kyber crystal in there that we know of. I guess there could be. Did you notice one?
No, didn't see a kyber crystal.
Yeah, so
yeah, it is the least Jedi, the least Force-based Star Wars, with virtually no mention of those. I mean, I don't know if there's a May the Force be with you in this. I don't know. I don't think there is.
I don't hear anything. I don't remember anything about the Force, quite honestly.
Yeah, so I think this is a completely Jedi-less show, which is not a problem, and that's kind of the point. I think that might be what upsets some people. There's a saying in the Star Wars community, for any of you listeners who don't know, the lore or the wars, and you kind of either really like, and this isn't true of everybody, because I think I like them both quite a bit, but maybe there's one that you can always choose which one you like better, because the wars, you like all the politics in the prequels, you like all the Empire conference room scenes, you like the rebellion, the pilots, the wars, you like the battles, and the espionage and the political risk. And then the lore, and you like the Jedi, and you like the Force, and you like all the deep lore surrounding that. And if you're really into the lore, and that's what you're coming to Star Wars for, then Andor will disappoint you as far as Jedi lore goes. But we have so many great properties that already dive into that, and this fleshes out a really important part of the universe.
Yeah, Andor at its core is the inner workings of the deep dark side of the rebellion. Or aspects of the rebellion.
Right, exactly.
And that's just a smattering. It's from so many different angles. Marva, Cassian, Luthen. We don't even know what's his name, Cyril's going to do.
Right.
So
exactly. I mean, we see so many parts of the rebellion. We see the financial side. We see the leadership side. We see the on the dirt, gritty rebel side. We see the operatives. We see the just like homegrown anarchy in the streets type of impromptu rebellion. Like we see a prison riot. We see a heist. I mean, we see so many aspects of what it takes to build a revolution, and an actual revolution. I mean, historically, like this show has a good basis in history for things that it takes to fund any kind of rebellion. And so it's done a very good job of showing us so many aspects of the rebellion and fleshing it out so much. And when you combine this show with Rebels and with Kenobi and with Jedi Fallen Order and what I assume Jedi Fallen Order's sequel, you just get a really good understanding of point A to point B, Empire to the fall of the Empire. This era is so fleshed out right now.
Yeah. And it's just so interesting, and there's so much to it that we're only on the verge of discovering what exactly we're going to see.
I know, absolutely. I mean, we're getting a whole 5-year build-up to the start of the Rebel Alliance. And so I do want to speculate some on Season 2 on what characters we're going to see. So you and I are going to do a game where we are going to draft characters. Any character in Star Wars canon is free. We're going to draft 5 characters. So you're going to build your 5-character team of who's going to show up in the next season, okay? And I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first since I just came up with this game.
Oh, God. So we're not going to have any Jedi. So I'm not going to pick anybody like that. I don't know if they want to...
I think I agree with you on the Jedi point. I don't think I'll end up picking a Jedi.
And I mean, one that we haven't seen, right? Goodness gracious. And so the Rebels from the TV, they're doing stuff right now, aren't they?
They are active right now.
Yeah. And so we could potentially see one of them in this.
So
do you
who's
think
your
that
pick?
would be too much fan? If I had to pick from them, oh yeah, I know. Harrison Dula.
You took my number one draft pick.
I knew who you were going to pick.
My number one draft pick. I forgot I tweeted out my number one draft pick.
I think that's what you planted that in my brain.
Yeah, because I think that's a great one. I think that's a really, really good one. Okay, well, I'm going to go for what I think is an even safer bet than Hera. It may not be as exciting, but I think it's a complete safe bet. We're getting this down. And we need to be writing these down because we need to see who's most right in 2 years when this comes out. But I'm going to take number 1 seed, Bail Organa.
Yeah. That's pretty much a given shoe-in.
Yeah, because Jimmy Smits is ready. He's always there. He was in Kenobi so much. He's definitely there to film at least a scene, is the point.
Yeah, and him and Mon Mothma can, commiserate with each other for sure.
Well, and
that's a good bet.
The thing about your pick, though, is I think Hera is for sure going to show up because we're already going to get live-action Hera on Ahsoka. We're already going to see her. So I think she's a for sure showing up.
So somebody's going to walk over from that studio to this one to do a cameo for sure.
Yep.
So we're definitely going to see more Imperial characters. Gosh, who's that going to be? I guess I'd say Agent Callus.
Agent Callus. That'd be a good guess. I mean, that's an interesting guess, but I think that's a good one. All right, Agent Callus. So you're going with 2 Rebels picks. Okay.
I just think that wouldn't that be so cool? I mean,
I'm about to outlaw a character because this one's just Tony Gilroy said in an interview this is happening. You cannot say K2SO.
Yeah. Well,
K2SO is a given.
Technically, he's already in it. If you look through the cast of characters, he's Alan Tudyk's voiced, I guess, the droids in there or something. Maybe was K2SO,
the other K2SO unit. The other K unit. I gotcha. All right, I'll take my first out on a limb guess, and I'll say Cal Kestis shows up.
Oh yeah, that's a stretch.
I think it's a stretch, but remember they modeled the character after the actor who voiced him, so the actor could be in shows.
Oh yeah.
So they have his actor. They have his voice and his face right there. Kyle Monaghan is his name.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to go say Palpatine's going to be in it at some point. You saying just season 2? Like, because Palpatine could be a penultimate character in whatever the last seasons are, but.
Right. I think that's a good guess, and I think obviously we count holograms and things like that. So I think that you're totally right. So and yeah, we're gonna see something. I mean, we're gonna ramp up. We're gonna ramp up a lot. I was wrong about the guy who plays Cal Kestis. It's not Kyle Monaghan. It's Cameron Monaghan.
There you go.
So wrong on that actor. My bad. All right, you've got Palpatine next, and I think that's a strong guess. I am gonna use a little bit of a cheat code here because I listened to a great Star Wars podcast that everyone who listens to this podcast should also check out, called the Resistance Broadcast. And they didn't play this game. They just guessed one character. But I'm going to take it and say Admiral Raddus.
Okay. That would be fun.
Because I think that's really clear. He's in Rogue One. He's got his ship. He's an exciting Mon Calamari character. He's a good introduction of an alien. I think it's a really easy pick because he's not out there as this big character. He's just, he is a guy in the rebellion. And I think I think he'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, very good points. My next to last pick, I'm kind of out of stuff. I really don't. I want to pick another Imperial one because we're going to get to an Imperial one. But I'm going to say, because I think they need to do something with this character, and they're way overdue, is Lando Calrissian.
Hey, that's a cool guess. I would love to see Lando in that. Obviously, he can't join the rebellion, so he has to scam somebody. But
so Lando's in Rebels, and they sprinkle him in whenever they need a good thing. I mean, there's nothing stopping, like, what's his name? Childish Gambino. Who's that actor's name?
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Why can't they just put him in here? Where's he at? What are they doing? Disney, I'm going to shake you. Wake up, please.
We need him back. I know Alden Ehrenreich just came out in a new movie trailer today, actually. For the movie Cocaine Bear, and it's about, I'm sure you've heard this story.
I saw it.
A bear who ingested a bunch. Yeah, he's in that trailer, and it makes me miss Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. I would love to see that. I really wish that were something that was going to happen. But I mean, it doesn't seem to be the case. But that'd be neat.
Yeah.
So for my next character guess, I feel like you're either going to have a reaction of that's not going to happen, or you wish that you thought of this. I'm going to go with Captain Rex. I think Captain Rex is going to show up with Hera.
I wish that would happen.
With Hera, I think. Because Tamura Morrison is so easy to get. I mean, he's right there. Put a beard on him, and you've got Captain Rex.
Yeah. Very good point.
I think someone I know we're not going to get. Well, not no. I can't say no. But we're not going to get Zeb. Because I don't think that Disney wants to try to CGI in a lot of Zeb action into this.
Yep. Okay. I think I'm on my last pick. And since I'm kind of stretching here, I'm going to skip to the end. The very last thing that we saw was the Death Star. Who was building Death Star? I want to say the other guy's name, but I'm just going to pick Grand Moff Tarkin.
Hey, okay. All right. That is a good pick.
But what was I'm drawing a blank here.
It's my pick is what
Okay, you pick him. Yeah, that'll be your pick.
Orson Krennic. I think
yes.
Director Orson Krennic is going to show up. I had that pick before you said it. No one's going to believe that.
Well, good. I'm glad I picked Tarkin. We can have. Did you write these down? We're going to have us.
I've got them written down. Yeah.
We need to put money into a pot, and whoever gets the right one gets to pull some money out or something.
Yeah, we do need to.
Really, honestly, I think Krennic would be more of a pick than Tarkin, but you never know.
Yeah, it's just they have to CGI Tarkin in is the thing, and I don't know if they're willing to do that. But I don't know. I think your Hera pick is the strongest pick on the list. That was going to be my first one. I think that's for sure, and it's super exciting. I wish there was a way for us to weight these based on how exciting they are, because that one is so exciting because it's not super risky, but it's really possible. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I think that's great. Obviously, we're getting Bail Organa, so I'm going to get that one. Agent Callus was a bold pick. I don't know. I think that'd be cool. I would be all about it. I don't know if they're going to do it or not. But he's in the ISB, so he could totally just be at the headquarters for a really quick cameo.
Yeah. Just like some of the younger Jedi were in, what was the cartoon we watched? Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
Ahsoka was in there.
Yes, I understand.
I understand that's a cartoon and they had him in there, but Cal Kestis, that was Caleb Doom, wasn't it?
Caleb Doom, yeah. Which Cal Kestis could show up and stuff like this. He showed up in that Brotherhood book. He would have been a really cool addition into Tales of the Jedi. That would have been exciting. I kind of wish that they thought about him more. I feel like one of the things about Cal Kestis is obviously all Star Wars is connected, but Dave Filoni isn't thinking about him. I don't think he's at the top of Dave Filoni's mind. So we're relying on somebody else to pull Cal Kestis in somewhere. And that somebody else has just got to be Tony Gilroy.
Since you did that, and we're only thinking of like video properties, let's do an honorable mention. Let's say Dr. Aphra.
Yeah, that would be exciting. That'd be pretty crazy.
I mean, because Cranston Black, he's in there. He's from the comic book.
Yeah, no, you're right. They pull from the comics. I wanted to think of a comic character, but I was racking my brain, and I couldn't think of one that I was confident enough that they would bring in.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and then novel characters. I can't think of a good novel character they could pull in either. Not in that time period. All the novels in that time period are kind of about already established characters.
Yeah, and the novels that we've read the most of is post-Imperial stuff.
Yes,
recently. Yeah,
recently for sure. I mean, they've published a lot of They've been publishing Post-Imperial and the High Republic has been what Disney's been making. And they made a prequel novel. We read Brotherhood, and it was good. It was very good. And so I'll be interested to see what they release this year. The only book they have announced this year for 2023 is an Inquisitor book. It's about a new Inquisitor. Cool. It's called The Red Blade. And so that's all I know about it. But it is exciting.
At least he gets a whole book instead of 5 minutes that Ahsoka took him out.
Yeah. And then
that dude was badass looking.
He was. He looked so cool. Tales of the Jedi was a great show too. That came out alongside Andor. I mean, we've gotten so much quality Star Wars, just boom, 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 one after the other. I mean, Bad Batch is less than a month away. We get new Mandalorian details tomorrow. We get Mandalorian trailer on Christmas Day. What a great Christmas present.
God.
So there's so much exciting Star Wars happening all the time. But Andor has been great. And the last honorable mention I want to make, that I do not think this is going to happen, but it's possible because he's also going to show up in Ahsoka, is Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
The only worry about this is that we're saying too many Rebels characters. I think in total we have four Rebels characters on our lists. And so that's why I think that it's a little bold to be guessing this many Rebels characters.
Yeah, you're right. And I didn't want to pick her. I'm not going to. I'm not under mention or nothing, but Sabine. I don't. Yeah. I'm not going to be disappointed if she's in it somehow, but it's going to be like, that's not the one I would have picked,
Right, exactly. Well, there's always I feel like an easy one they might put in there is Chopper. I always feel like Chopper being somewhere on Yavin is going to be easy. But no, it's exciting. I'm very, very excited to see who all's introduced in Andor Season 2 and where they take us. And we know we're going to get to see K2SO. We know we have to see the downfall of Luthen. I'm just super excited to see where this show is going to drive. And they have so many open plot lines. I mean, the second season's tackling a lot. It's tackling closing everyone's plot lines and also introducing new characters in the rebellion and only getting 3 episodes per year.
Yeah, that's kind of... I wish we got more, but maybe that's all the story they have to tell or something. Who knows?
I know. I have... After seeing this, I have full faith in Season 2. But it is a bold... I think they're taking it in a bold direction.
So, in this season, we had a bunch of different story arcs. And let's just go over them just right fast. We had the first 3 episodes was like an introductory arc. The next few was the heist, and the next few was the prison break, and the prison break, and the last one stands alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, excluding the last episode, or what was your favorite arc?
My favorite arc was the Aldani heist. I think Aldani heist was the best arc for me completely. I mean, it was the most invested I was. It felt very Star Wars, and it was very exciting. And those were believable Rebel characters. Not to say any characters were unbelievable or anything like that, but it showed us the kind of dark, terroristic side of a rebellion where they're still only attacking the government, but they're killing people. The things they do in that episode, we will never see Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca ever do that. We're never ever going to see that in any written material or anything. We would never see those characters do that, but we know that has to happen in a rebellion.
I agree, but with the caveat that that Han Solo breakout from Jabba's palace, we didn't get to see it. It happened off screen, but the level of plan and execution was on par with this.
Oh, that's not at all what I think. The plans are. You're right. It is on par. I totally agree. I'm saying the level of violence, the yelling at them, that they're going to shoot them if they don't load the crates fast enough, the just executing the Imperial officer, the threatening the guy's kid. Like, we're never going to see Luke, Leia, or Han do those things. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're too good a characters.
If someone asked me to make a bet on that, I would bet every dollar I ever had.
Yep. Okay, so my pick for the best arc is it's between the heist, for the reasons you said, and the prison break. And so, but it's like a 51-49 split.
Well, people love the prison break, and I do too. It's awesome. It's super cool.
So since you talked, you can build on what I said. Since you talked about the heist, I'm going to talk about the prison break.
Go ahead.
Man, so like he got sent to prison over some BS, right? He just got caught up, and that K2SO droid was like he said, "Hang out." I feel bad laughing at that, but because he was like, talk about distress. That Diego Luna acting, those scenes like that, just that look on his face. So he goes to prison, and that prison is half prison, half torture chamber. Because the first thing they do is electrocute him, right? And then this is one of the coolest things. So it's a slave camp, is what it is, in the middle of an ocean or lake or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
And they're manufacturing the things, and everybody's like, all of my people I talked to, we talked about it. What are they making? What are they making? And people had all of their speculations. Oh, it's a TIE fighter part. Oh, it's a Death Star part. No, it's not any of that. Da 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 da. I love this is the kind of writing that I really love, that it throws these bones out there for people to chew on. These are the things that you take home. These are the things you take home and talk with your friends, and we didn't get to find out, the prison sequence ended. We even talked about amongst ourselves, we're going to see a ship fly off and it's going to go somewhere with all these parts on it. We are speculations of how we're going to see the things. And we didn't get to find out to the very, very end, which was really cool how they delivered it to us.
I know. It was an awesome reveal.
Yeah. And so the prison, they figure out just all these plot lines of how they figured everything out. Of course, they escape. And here's another thing is, you see how many days he got sentenced to 6 years, and the person even remarks, this used to be 6 weeks or a year or whatever she said. And he's got, she was even befuddled. She's got to go away for 6 years for this.
I know. It was terrible.
And it was a direct result of his actions of pulling off the heist. So he's got to be kicking himself just a little bit.
Right.
Right. So when they go to their cells, they can't leave because if they step out, the floor will electrocute them. And every day they got to sit there and look at their sentence on the wall. That's harrowing, isn't it?
I know.
Man,
Absolutely.
That's such a good plot device. But it also, put yourself in their shoes. They even did it. You've just got 41 shifts left. You got 41 shifts left. All this other stuff. But then the guy has a heart attack, and they just euthanize them or a stroke or whatever. They figured out they're communicating floor to floor with sign language. They figured out a whole floor was executed because one guy got sent back and they thought he was set free. And so it just puts all that stuff in motion. How they escaped, I never would have seen it. Breaking the water main or whatever. Man. And I thought for sure they would have been rolled over. But, that's what's so good about this is like, they get through it logically. But your heart is so into these characters that like, he's never getting out. He's going to die. He could die at any minute. He could be beat to death. Somebody's going to beat him up. Somebody's going to steal his lunch money or whatever. And no, he gets out and they go swim. And we see some other aliens that capture him and take him back to where he's got his money stashed. Oh, man.
I know. It was so exciting.
Such a good arc.
We got to see Melshi, and then they split from each other. That's so interesting. I mean, that's just a really cool plot line and plot device that they put there. I'm super, super impressed with this show. It really is super neat.
Another thing that I've had casual Star Wars fans say, is they're repeating the on program when they want somebody to sit there and pay attention.
And one way
I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to do that to my employees. I think that'd be way too condescending. But you want to sit there and tell your little kids on program to get them to cinch right up.
Right. Yeah, and it's so satisfying when they have Cassian do it to the Imperial guards too, or to the guys running the control room.
Yeah.
Super satisfying.
But it's all those little things I talked about, the throwing the bone, how they got out, making you feel like there's no hope. That's the good writing that made this such a good show. And it's apparent in all of these arcs. Like in the Heist arc, you're like, are they going to pull this off? Why is she going off by her alone? Why did she tell Andor what they were going to go do? And the pilgrims there, they were used to be thousands, now it's a few hundred or whatever. What's the plight of these people? They make you care for the situations and the specific, even minor people in these situations.
I know.
That's why I keep coming back.
That was super interesting, too. We got to explore Ferrix's culture there at the end, or really throughout the whole time we're on Ferrix. And we get to see a deep culture there. We get to see the Aldani culture. And to be fair, in the Book of Boba Fett, we got to deep dive into the Tuskens culture. It's interesting that Star Wars has given us much more of these, like, deeper, richer planets. That's something that is new with the Disney Star Wars era, is that we get these much more enriched planets. It's a little bit, we get a tiny bit in the prequels. We get some fleshing out on Kamino a tiny bit. We get some fleshing out on Utapau just a tiny bit. But we don't really get the fleshing out of singular planets in any of the Star Wars properties other than these Disney shows.
So here's a question for you. We've covered those arcs. So this last episode, Ferrix, would you consider it like more of a matriarchal culture, or was it just the strong character of what's her name?
Marva? Yeah, I think
Marva.
I think that Ferrix is just a, you respect your elders, you respect your family. It's a very tight-knit community. I think that's what it's like. But I think because they do the bricks with everybody, and Cassian is beside his father's brick at one point. I think that's just what it's a very strong community.
Well, and so that's what that final episode. I had no idea what to expect going to this. We enjoyed the arcs, and so it's like, what are they going to do? What's going to happen with these characters? And so I'm really glad it circled back. I had, you kind of knew what was going to happen. If you thought long and hard about it, I kind of didn't, So circling back to Ferrix was really cool. I'm like, because in my head, I'm like, why would he go back there and risk getting captured, But that goes back to the strength of the culture. He had to go spend those final moments with Marva, check on Bix Colleen. Did he know Luthen was going to be there? Maybe, I don't know. But it was a really good cap off to this season. To another spark in the rebellion, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's just getting to see another spark in the rebellion, like you put it. One of the best parts about Disney Star Wars and the new Star Wars canon, and they did this still very well in the expanded universe, but I think they do an even better job in Disney canon, is methodically plotting out the cells and their interconnectedness in the rebellion. And, there's Phoenix Squadron, and, there's, this Cassian group, and Luthen, and Mon Mothma, and Saw, and Anto Krieger, and all of these groups that come together and form the rebellion. The what? Which one did you mention?
The Lothal Rebels?
The Lothal Rebels. Well, they're part of Phoenix Squadron.
Okay.
But you also have the Path folks in Kenobi, their rebel cell. That's someone we should have mentioned. Ice Cube's son. He's probably going to be in there. And then we have another rebel cell in the Mantis crew from Fallen Order. There's a lot of rebel cells that can all come together, and they might not all intersect, but a lot of them come together, and it's super, super interesting to see. It's been really enjoyable. Andor's a great Star Wars show. It's my favorite. I mean, it's my favorite. It's my second favorite Star Wars product Disney's made behind Rebels.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about was a Star Wars in this, and it was Luthen's ship fighting the Arrestor-class cruiser. So here's another situation where you think he's done for. He's in the tractor beam. He's not just a tractor beam of some ship like a Gozanti or what are the other little cruisers there is. He's in a ship that in a Arrestor cruiser.
Well, it's a
caught by an
Cantwell.
Arrestor cruiser.
It's a Cantwell cruiser.
Cantwell Arrestor cruiser, and he gets out of that.
I know.
And not only does it, but he does it in style.
God, it's
and
cool.
By himself. Those everybody's calling it the lightsaber blades. That's sticking out
Darth
of the
Maul
thing.
loved it.
Yeah. What a scene.
I mean, it's amazing. And, that the guy portraying the Imperial officer, he's so, befuddled, and the way Luthen is talking about being from Alderaan and saying, and trying to get out of it, and, his ship is able to fake those papers. I mean, the ship is so impressive. I mean, it's like, it doesn't, I don't know. It's probably not as fast as the Millennium Falcon, but it's sure got some impressive features in that ship. And so it was really, really neat to see that Fondor Hallcraft be able to do all of that.
Yeah. No, you need to go watch, because that's my thing, is seeing ships do cool things and all this other stuff. And I've watched that scene a few times. Even as it came on, I had to rewind it and watch it, see all the little things that went on in that thing. He does this flyby pass of the tower of the cruiser. And just spot him,
I know.
So funny.
It's so good.
What else do we need to cover in this?
Gosh, I don't know. It was just a really exciting show. Some folks may say it doesn't feel Star Warsy enough, but to them I would say, look at the Luthen scene and the scene we just talked about. Like, look at the Mon Mothma scenes are so similar to the prequels, and just if you're not giving this show a try, you really got to check it out. I'm not saying that if you have given it a try and you don't like it, then your opinion's not valid. But I'm saying that if you're out there not giving it a try, you have to, as a Star Wars fan. You have to do yourself that justice.
Right. If you're hesitant at all, there's a ton of Easter eggs in this. Admiral Yularen, Luthen runs a shop that's got some cool stuff. Go look that up. Man.
There's good connections. It's very, very exciting. It's neat to see. Everyone should check it out. But there's some other exciting stuff happening in the Star Wars universe, Colin, and that's what we're here to talk about in the HoloNet news segment of our podcast. There's been a lot of exciting news. Let's start off this news segment right here with the first story is the exit of Bob Chapek from Disney and the rehiring of old CEO Bob Iger. Bob Iger chaired the company for years, then he left just last year to retire. Bob Chapek took over, and he's already out. He's gone, and they immediately hired the guy. And so we're back under his reign. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Along with Kathleen Kennedy is going to retire either right before or right after Indiana Jones 5 next year.
Yeah, so that's super interesting news. I kind of don't want to speculate. I'm kind of glad. I'm hoping it's not a situation of there goes the old boss, say hi to the new boss. same as the old boss, type thing. But, one of the criticisms I heard was the price of going to the parks went way up, and they're not happy about that. And, gosh, there's just so many factors of this that we can only just speculate on.
Sure, I know. I mean, the shareholders wanted Chapek out, but I'm surprised Iger's back. But he must have just really needed to come back for his legacy. I mean, I think Iger did a great job. He has obviously delivered us a bunch of really, really good Star Wars. And Iger, I think, just responsibly ran that company. Kathleen Kennedy has had her controversy, but she's also delivered us a lot of good Star Wars. I mean, she just has. It's just a fact that a lot of people might not agree with her, whatever, you don't like the sequels or anything like that, but she's given us The Mandalorian, she's given us Andor. I mean, she's given us a lot of good Star Wars during her 10 years at Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I've had a good time. There's some stuff I wish could be a little bit more polished or thought out, whatever, but it's not bad.
No, we've gotten a bunch of really good Star Wars. And so it's just it's going to be an interesting shakeup, and it'll be really exciting to see who the new person is.
Yeah. I hope Iger's there for a while, puts out some, brings back characters we need to see. Rey, Lando Calrissian.
I agree. I totally agree.
Let's see Solo 2. That's not a bad idea.
That is the next piece of news in promoting the new Willow movie. John Kasdan has been talking about his interest in doing Solo 2. He was on Solo 1. He liked doing Solo. He enjoyed it. And he wants to come back with a Solo 2. And this was just recently that he had said this.
Yeah. That's great to hear. I watched Willow after Thanksgiving. It's a TV series. I guess that's on Disney. I can't wait to check that out. I have to watch it with my wife and kids because they enjoyed the Willow thing.
See, I never saw Willow before. I hadn't known about it. I've heard a lot of Star Wars fans say that it's worth checking out though. So maybe I should.
Well, it's a Lucasfilm, George Lucas thing. So I'm pretty sure, right? Or is that a Spielberg? I don't remember.
No, it's
got Val Kilmer.
Yeah, no,
in it.
you're right. It's a Lucasfilm project. It's a Willow, and there's a new Willow series coming out, and that's what Howard's promoting. And so yeah, it is a Lucasfilm product.
And Ron Howard directed that. I certainly wouldn't want a Ron Howard Star Wars. But...
Right, but John Kasdan, Kasdan wrote the new Willow, and he wrote Solo, and I thought Solo was phenomenal. I thought Solo deserved a sequel with the interesting Darth Maul cliffhanger, and what are they going to do with Kira? And now Kira's all over the comic books. I think it'd be wonderful to get a Solo too.
Right, and bring back Ray Park while we're at it. Let's see some more stuff in that era of Darth Maul, because maybe they shouldn't have pulled the punches. I don't know if they did. But they should have done more with Darth Maul, because that can be a really good focal point for Solo 2.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Because there's not a single person who dislikes Darth Maul.
Correct.
He's a cash machine. Let's see.
You're right.
Especially all the other characters, man.
So the next very interesting bit of Star Wars news, I think, is going to excite you dramatically. And that is about the Acolyte TV show. We got some more information. There's going to be a Padawan Jedi duo investigating things. But the Acolyte will show how the Sith Order infiltrated the Jedi Order 100 years before the Phantom Menace. And so...
Oh, I read something about this. They're speculating on who those Sith are going to be. Like, is it Darth Plagueis?
Exactly.
Is it this person? Is it that person?
It's going to be super
So
exciting.
intriguing.
I mean, it's going to be a dark side-centered show, the first of its kind in Star Wars. The first dark side-centered media property we're going to have that's on the screen.
Yeah.
And so,
oh, man, that's going to be really cool.
I figured you'd think it's very exciting. And like you said, it's prime time Plagueis era. And also, just 20 years later, it's going to be Dooku as an active Padawan, and all of those guys participating in the Jedi Order. I mean, it's close enough to the prequels. I mean, obviously Yoda is operable. It takes place just right at the end of the High Republic era, and so I'm not saying we're going to get a ton of cameos, but we're definitely going to get some mention of some things. And it will be the oldest the farthest back Star Wars goes after this for on the screen again, and that'll be really interesting. Right. I guess because they just extended the age with the Tales of the Jedi series, but this will push it even farther back.
Right. Man, that's exciting. I got some personal. I ordered the Obi-Wan Kenobi Galaxy's Edge lightsaber. I'm not able to pop down to Disney on a whim, so I ordered it from the Disney shop. It'll be here tomorrow. I can post that on the old Instagram, so y'all can check that out. Super pumped to have that in finally.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's super awesome. Is that your Star Wars moment of the week?
Yeah, it will be. It gets here tomorrow. Tomorrow or Friday. I need to go check the tracking on that.
Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, it could be here Friday. I don't know. It was scanned in Dallas last. It's going to show up at my work, and I'll post pictures as soon as I get it. Because the only other lightsaber I really, really want is Anakin Skywalker. Not a Darth Vader. I want an Anakin.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think that's all. Of course, if I had the time and the money, I'd own them all. But you get to buy a few of those, and that's a car payment. So
right.
That just collects dust. So,
right. No, I understand. You're right. But no, that's exciting. The Obi-Wan saber is going to be super cool. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
I think my Star Wars moment of the week is I finally, after years of trying, convinced Cassidy to watch Rebels. And so we just began Star Wars Rebels Season 1, Episode 5. We watched it right before this recording.
Wow.
And so I'm about to get to watch the whole thing again. I mean, Rebels is my favorite Star Wars Disney product that's come out. So I'm super excited to get to rewatch it. And Cassidy's already enjoying it 5 episodes in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good. That's good she has for you to watch it with her. Because a casual person might turn that off.
Right. And there's a lot of things. Cassidy is a new Star Wars fan, so there's a lot of things tidbits. She likes the way that everything ties together, and so it's always cool to sit there and kind of tell her if there's an Easter egg that she hadn't noticed. But she notices a lot of Easter eggs. She's gotten it down.
Yeah. Since you brought her up, isn't there a project y'all are working on?
There is, yes. Cassidy and I are about to complete the Princess and the Scoundrel book. And her and I are going to give you guys a special. We're going to record an episode of the podcast just about the Princess and the Scoundrel book. It'll be like mine and Colin's other Star Wars book episodes, except it'll be Cassie and I discussing the honeymoon book just days before our honeymoon that we're taking in about 3 weeks. And that leads into other exciting news that we have about the future of the channel.
What's that?
You know, it's during our honeymoon. You're going to have a new special guest on the podcast helping you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're going to watch as the Bad Batch comes out, or intermittently, me and another guest of the show. You've heard him before on our convention episode. Sidero is going to join me, talking about the Bad Batch. And is there anything else coming?
Yeah, and you guys are going to cover the Mandalorian Season 3's new trailer that comes out on Christmas.
Yes, that'll be fun. We're going to talk. I bet we're talking just as long about that 2-minute trailer as we do
as you do all the Bad Batch. You're right.
All the Bad Batch in this episode too. I bet we cover that.
Yeah, I bet you're right. And I'm excited to hear those episodes. Cassidy and I will be on our honeymoon, so we can't record, but we want to make sure to continue to deliver with you guys some more new, exciting Star Wars content. Colin and I will be going back to week by week with the Bad Batch, and then we'll roll right on into The Mandalorian. I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet, how we're going to do The Mandalorian and the Bad Batch, but we're definitely going to do them both justice when they're going on at the same time. And so we're rolling into the new year exciting.
When does The Mandalorian come
February. We don't have an exact release date yet.
Okay. Should we commit to doing like a recap, a 1-episode recap of seasons 1 and 2? Because I've rewatched season 1. I need to roll into season 2.
We certainly should. I think we should do a special where we wrap them both together. We should try to get Cy and Red on and do a 4-man special on the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and kind of roll that together.
Let's do that.
Because then we can have a good time. We can watch some recaps on it. We can rewatch it if we want, and we can release it as a special while we'll be doing live Bad Batch coverage every week.
Yeah, I agree.
That's going to be another exciting project.
That's a fun project.
So we'll begin lining those ducks up, and This has been another very exciting episode, and we're excited to be back to podcasting on a consistent schedule. And so, what an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan. It really, really has been awesome to get to talk about Andor. It's been an awesome show, and we appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to us.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Go watch Andor, watch it again. I think I watched a couple episodes to prep for this, and you got to see what the glory that show was. Thank you, Tony Gilroy. Thank you, Disney. Hopefully I see you at the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Absolutely. May the Force be with you guys.